In the quiet suburban town of Frederick, Colorado, the Watts family appeared to have it all. A loving couple, 2 beautiful daughters, and a baby boy on the way. Social media portrayed them as the perfect family. Smiling faces, family vacations, and joyful moments. But behind the filters and carefully crafted posts, a chilling reality was brewing. On August 13, 2018, that perfect image shattered. Shanann Watts and her daughters, Bella and Celeste, vanished without a trace. Her husband, Chris Watts, claimed to have no idea where they had gone. What unfolded next would captivate the nation and expose one of the most shocking and heart-wrenching crimes in recent memory. Shanann was a driven woman, outspoken, successful, and dedicated to her family. Her social media was filled with videos of her daughters laughing, playing, and singing. She loved her life and frequently praised Chris for being a supportive husband and father. They had recently learned they were expecting a son, Nico. Chris, a quiet man, worked for Anadarko Petroleum. He didn't stand out. He was the kind of guy neighbors described as friendly but reserved. To the outside world, they were thriving, but cracks had begun to show. August 13, 2018. Shanann returned from a work trip at 2 a.m., dropped off by her friend Nicole Atkinson. That morning, Shanann missed a doctor's appointment and stopped responding to messages. Nicole grew worried and contacted the police. Officers arrived for a wellness check. Inside the house, things were off. Shanann's purse was still there, her phone, the kids' medicine, but no sign of Shanann, Bella, or Celeste. Chris appeared anxious but cooperative. He suggested Shanann left with the kids, but neighbors and friends knew she would never do that. Police began an investigation immediately. Chris gave interviews pleading for his family's return. But something didn't sit right. A neighbor's surveillance camera showed Chris backing his truck into the garage early that morning, a move he never made. His behavior grew stranger by the hour. Detectives noticed his lack of emotion. His words felt rehearsed. They asked him to take a polygraph. He agreed. The polygraph results were clear. Chris was lying. Investigators confronted him. He asked to speak with his father. In that emotional moment, Chris made a partial confession. He claimed he killed Shanann in a rage, after she killed their daughters. Investigators knew it wasn't true. They pressed harder. Eventually, Chris broke. Chris admitted the unthinkable. He had strangled Shanann in their bed after an argument. Then he loaded her body into his truck, along with his daughters, alive. He drove them to an oil site owned by his company. There, he smothered Celeste, then Bella, and placed their small bodies into oil tanks. He buried Shanann in a shallow grave nearby. His motive? He wanted a fresh start with his mistress, Nicole Kessinger. Nicole Kessinger and Chris met at work. Their relationship progressed quickly. Chris lied to her, saying he was separated. Nicole claimed she didn't know Shanann was pregnant. Their texts revealed romantic plans, future dreams, and a growing obsession. Chris saw his family as an obstacle. To him, the solution was murder. One of the most haunting elements of this case was the contrast between public image and private reality. Shanann's videos showed Chris kissing her belly, playing with the kids, smiling. But in reality, their marriage was deteriorating. Friends said Shanann confided in them. Chris had grown cold, distant. She feared he was cheating. She was right. As the story broke, the nation was horrified. A father murdering his entire family. The gruesome details dominated headlines. True crime communities exploded. People couldn't look away. The image of Bella and Celeste, smiling, happy, innocent, became a symbol of unimaginable loss. Chris was arrested and charged with 9 counts, including first-degree murder. He pled guilty to avoid the death penalty. On November 19, 2018, he was sentenced to 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole, plus 84 additional years. He now resides in a maximum security prison in Wisconsin. Shanann's family, the Zucheks, were shattered, but they found the strength to speak out. They wanted the world to remember Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico, not just as victims but as bright, loving souls taken too soon. They advocated for awareness around emotional abuse and domestic violence. They turned grief into action. The Watts case became more than just another crime story. It forced society to confront uncomfortable truths, the danger of unchecked emotional detachment, the masks people wear, and the terrifying reality that evil can live inside the people we trust most. Shanann's legacy lives on, not through how she died, but how she lived. If stories like this move you, and you believe it's important to uncover the truth behind real cases, hit that subscribe button now. We dive deep into the most disturbing, emotional, and important true crime stories, always with respect for the victims. Don't forget to click the bell so you never miss an upload. The Watts family murders remain one of the most devastating crimes in recent memory. Behind the smiling family photos was a story of betrayal, manipulation, and unimaginable loss. Chris Watts didn't just take lives, he shattered a future, destroyed families, and stunned a nation. But Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and baby Nico will not be forgotten. Their story is now part of a bigger conversation about trust, appearances, and the hidden pain that can exist even in the most perfect-looking lives. Long before the murders, subtle signs indicated trouble. Friends noticed a change in Chris. His sudden weight loss, the new workout routines, the obsession with his phone. Shanann confided in close friends that something felt off. Chris was emotionally detached, spending less time with the girls and barely engaging in conversation. Even their finances were in shambles, adding another layer of stress. They had declared bankruptcy in 2015, and by 2018 they were behind on mortgage payments. The pressure mounted behind closed doors, but no one imagined the horror that would unfold. Technology played a key role in unraveling the case. From text messages between Shanann and her friends, to Chris's shady Google searches, and the security footage from a neighbor's home. Digital footprints told a different story than Chris's words. Shanann's phone showed her growing desperation. "He's not the man I married," she told one friend. Meanwhile, Chris searched things like how to prepare for a new life, and chillingly, can police trace text messages? The digital evidence didn't lie. It painted a haunting portrait of premeditation. Chris's mistress, Nicole Kessinger, became a lightning rod in the media storm. While she cooperated with investigators, her internet search history and interviews raised eyebrows. She Googled Amber Frey, the woman involved in the Scott Peterson case, and "Can cops read deleted texts?" days before the murders. Nicole insisted she didn't know Shanann was pregnant. She claimed to be shocked when she learned the truth. But the timeline of her relationship with Chris remains a point of public speculation and intense scrutiny. Psychologists and criminal experts have spent years analyzing Chris Watts. What made a seemingly mild-mannered father kill his entire family? Some experts classify him as a covert narcissist, someone who hides deep selfishness under a quiet, agreeable persona. Others suggest he was emotionally stunted, incapable of handling confrontation or conflict. Instead of divorce, he chose annihilation. In his mind, removing his family was a way to erase the life he no longer wanted. It wasn't a snap decision. It was a selfish, calculated act cloaked in cowardice. Now, serving multiple life sentences, Chris Watts lives in a maximum security prison in Wisconsin. In the years since his conviction, he has exchanged letters with true crime enthusiasts and even penned chilling accounts of his thoughts. In one letter, he described how Bella pleaded, "Daddy, no!" before he ended her life. He wrote that he was possessed and felt no emotion during the killings. These letters have only deepened the horror for Shanann's family and the public. The Watts case struck a nerve worldwide, perhaps because it was so ordinary. An average family in an average home. No drugs, no previous violence. Just a man who chose evil. People were horrified because it felt close to home. If this could happen in a picture-perfect suburban family, documentaries, podcasts, books, it became a case studied not just for its brutality, but for its terrifying familiarity. Through the pain, Shanann's family has fought to preserve her legacy and that of her children. They describe her as a loving mother, a determined businesswoman, and someone who saw the best in everyone, even Chris. Bella and Celeste were energetic, kind, and full of laughter. Baby Nico never got to take his first breath, but his presence is still felt. The Razuchek family continues to share their story, advocate for victims of domestic abuse, and remind the world, behind the headlines were real lives, real love, and unspeakable loss.